Linda Mosley Lucas is a lifelong educator who served in the Charleston County School District. In this edition of Quintin's Close-Ups, Linda tells me why she's running for the North Area seat on the Charleston County School Board. And be sure to download the free Quintin's Close-Ups app in your Apple or Google Play stores. Linda Mosley Lucas.
Yes.
It's so good to meet you.
Great to meet you.
I appreciate this greatly.
Thank you.
Anytime. You and I were talking over the phone last week, and obviously you're running for the North Area seat for the Charleston County School Board, Consolidated School Board, and you weren't really going for that particular position, but God called you to run.
Wow, you're the first person that has really known that. I guess I mentioned it to a few, but you remember.
Yes, ma'am.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
How's this journey going with you and God and the Charleston County School Board?
Well, you don't have enough time for me to tell you about my journey with God. I'll just say a little bit about that most people are born once, and some of us are born twice. I've been born 3 times. On May 22nd, 2014, I died after work of a heart attack. But I'm not going to give you all the details, except to say the doctor said the people who had what I had are dead, but God. They couldn't even believe it. They kept coming in and out of the room, bringing all their interns and all their people.
Right.
And so that's God. That's the same God that placed in my lap information about running for the Charleston County School Board. I had no plans, no idea. I retired in 2016 with other things going on, writing, speaking, storytelling, working with children in a literacy program after school, and still in touch with families. They still call me. I am involved with the Alternative to Detention to keep our kids from having to go to jail, and also with the Tri-County CHIP program, which is a program to help people have access to help. So I'm not just sitting home watching TV, crossing my legs. And when this was placed in my lap, I did what Gideon did and asked for probably more than Gideon did. I didn't ask for a wet fleece or dry fleece, but God will let you know who's talking to you. And I was resistant, but I was also reminded that I'm here because of him, so I can't tell him no. So most of this is on him, and it has not been the easiest thing. But I cannot think of anyone in scriptures who followed their assignment and found it easy.
Right.
They had to trust. So that's why I'm here. That's a long story, but that's true.
So
Thank you for asking.
Oh, you're welcome. Thank God you're here. Yes. Exactly right. You're right about that. And now the Charleston County School Board.
Yes.
Obviously, you had the flip the board school board candidate forum last night,
Mm-hmm.
and I know everybody was there except for Francis Baylot. But what was it like for you, Linda Mosley Lucas, as the candidate to be there?
Well, I believe, since that was my second big come and meet the candidate event, I was not quite as nervous as I had been at another event a week before. And I made sure that I got there very early and had quite a bit of time to talk to folks and just be ready and trusting the whole time that I would know what to say, when to say, how to say it. It was really a challenge for me. There were times when questions were asked of other candidates that I wanted to answer, but I had to do everything in decency and in order. And so when they got to me, they asked me a different question, and I wanted to answer the one before. In one instance, I did tag onto somebody else's question, but then I hope I answered mine. The thing about it is I am not sure, as I speak to you right now, if I answered them the way I should have. I really have to trust that I did a good job.
And I know that in that particular candidate forum, you basically praised Wyoming's model of directing funds toward the poor schools, quote, so kids have equitable opportunities.
Yes.
What are those equitable opportunities that you want for the kids?
I'm glad you asked that because this is 2018. I'm a product of a segregated school system in Charleston many years ago, way before you were born. And we didn't know the word equitable. We didn't know the word equal access. We didn't even know what equality was. That was segregated in South Carolina. And so now here we are with our children, grandchildren, and still seeing things happening that should have been done away with. Equitable means not just having access to, say, a special opportunity, but if you need something to get to that opportunity, equitable. giving you that extra thing. If it means for you to attend a special class, somebody needs to help you, maybe even with transportation, or somebody needs to help you to know how to talk about that interview before you get to that interview. Another child might be used to interviews because their family is affluent, but that child who's not and is in an impoverished environment, he might need to know the basics. Maybe the counselor needs to talk with him, or the teacher, if not his parent, and say, and I literally have done this, practice with the student at Clark Academy many years ago to pretend that she was going for an interview for a scholarship, and I believe the scholarship, I'm not sure if it was South Carolina State or the College of Charleston, but she already said, I'm not going to do it, I can't do it. And I said, if anybody can, you can. There's nobody better than you. And our application was about half-inch thick, but she wasn't used to having success. And she was a single parent, so she really didn't expect to do well. But it has been something in me all my life to tell people not to give up, to go ahead. And so she and I practiced. I pretended I was the president, and I asked her questions, and I told her how to look in my face, answer the questions, not to fidget, and believe you can do this. And of course, she and I prayed. I know they say you can't do that in public schools, but if that student wants to pray with you, you can go there with that student. And they all knew me, so they knew I probably prayed before. Right. So anyway, and so I'm glad to say that that young lady, she went to college and got a 4-year degree. She's now a teacher. In fact, she became, so that's one of my girls became a teacher. She's a teacher out in, I forget what part of South Carolina, someplace out in the Rock Hill area. Oh yeah. And then I have another student who didn't do well on the SAT. This is still talking about helping it to be equitable. It's not something you're born with necessarily, even though if you're wealthy, you're kind of born with it on the outside. Your environment tells you, you can do this. We did it, you can do it. But if you don't have anyone that says, you can do this, that was what my position was. So I had another girl, and she applied to South Carolina State. At that time, that college had a female president. Right. And she had some challenges, I guess because she was breaking the mold. And so she came to me crying and saying that she was rejected. I immediately called the president's office, and I reminded them that you said at a Burke High School graduation, and at that time we were linked with Burke High School, you said that you would help any student that wanted to go to college, and you have rejected my student. She's a fine young lady. There have been some circumstances in her life that probably pulled her down a little, but she's ready to go to college. And they said, well, her SAT scores, I don't know if it's SAT or ACT scores, were not what they were looking for. And I said, please don't let that stop you. Give her an opportunity. So they talked with me and they decided, well, she'll need to have some kind of supportive services or something. I want to just not go through all of it, but to say that young lady not only graduated from there, she came to work as a teacher in Charleston County and became a teacher of the year. So that's what I mean by equitable. Equitable is giving a little bit more to make it equal. Otherwise, it's not equal. If I send you to the same opportunity and you don't know what to do when you get there, you've not been exposed to it, it might be an equal looking opportunity, but it's not equitable because you don't know what to do.
And you talk about the Charleston County School District. I know that you, in that particular candidate forum last night, you spoke well of Superintendent Dr. Rita Postway. You said that she generally listens to teachers and has created new opportunities for career and technology education. Yes. What is the state of that?
That actually is a part of being equitable. And it's also a part of being progressive. Okay. And it's also a part of finding out what those schools that are on that rank of the highest schools in the country, they focus on several things. And Dr. Postway is going into that area. I'm not saying we've gotten there yet. We still have a long way to go. And that's why I want to get on the board so we can jump some of these hurdles. Let's go for it. There's no time to sit back and wait. Maybe in another 5 years. No. The time is now. So I see Dr. Postway networking with various corporations and organizations. She, you would almost think that she had clones because she's here, she's there. I've spoken to teachers and they said to me, they remember that she came by the school last school year and she didn't come in just to see the principal and leave. She came in, she didn't look rushed, she didn't act rushed. She spoke to individual teachers. She even came up to teachers who were on duty or in the workroom, and she spoke to them. And she asked them things about what was going on in their job and other things and how they're doing. She seems to be genuinely concerned about how other people are doing. I felt that also on the first day that she spoke to all of us at the first day teachers, how would we call it? I was a gathering. We met at North Charleston High School from all over the county, and Dr. Posaway was up on the podium, and a platform, I guess they did a platform there. And even though I wasn't right next to her, I was a distance from her. It was a gymnasium area. There was something about her spirit, and especially when she started to say that she really was coming into this, not necessarily out of necessity, but because it was, she didn't use the word calling, but she felt that it was something that she was to do. She had been a caretaker, and I hooked up with that because I had been a caretaker, and that's a real challenge. So I look at her as a survivor, and not just surviving, but then she excels beyond being a survivor. And I like that, her voice. And when I saw her the other night at the last meeting when they recognized her from MUSC for her involving our children, as I'm talking about her getting them involved, I saw initially, because she didn't know they were going to recognize her, I looked at her, I look at people's faces, and I do have discernment. And no matter how fancy they're dressed and what have you, there's something in the eyes that tell you about a person. And I looked in her eyes and I could see that she was really tired. This is not an easy job, to take care of thousands of people and very seldom get a thank you, but doing it because someone has told you to do it. And so I felt for her. And I was so glad that they recognized her, because she is truly a lady, and she's not on the inside, not only on the outside, but on the inside. I've never heard her raise her voice. And the couple of meetings that I've gone to recently, I did not hear her participating in the negative language. And I occasionally send her a little note saying thank you for doing different things. So I do believe that she's headed in the right direction. Not perfect yet. I don't think we'll ever be perfect. But I'm sure looking forward to her or the next superintendent bringing us up to the top of the ranking for the best school district in the country. Because you see, the other ones focus on career and development in college. They focus on early childhood literacy, and we need to emphasize that more. Creative Careers helping us with that. And First Steps helping, but there's so many other areas. Reading for books and reading partners, all those are helping. Funding going to where funding needs to be. Well, I'm looking forward to those things. So I think that she is headed in the right direction. She will make some mistakes. She inherited mistakes when she came here, but she didn't quit.
Is the Charleston County School Board headed in the right direction in your mind?
I think with her leadership and a few of the board members, I think they've been trying, but I think that it's, what is it called, when you're in the military and you mark a place, you just kind of stand there. You may go a step forward, but you're not really marching. So I don't believe they're marching in exactly where they need to go or at the rate that they need to go. But I think that they're trying. I want to see us do it, make it real.
So what is the role of the Charleston County School Board member, a Charleston County School Board member, in your mind?
I think, first of all, the ideas of the business parts are for managing the fiscal part of it, the operational part of it. Also seeing that the curriculum is excellent. And I don't mean just excellent on the books, but excellent in every school. That's equitable again. I checked on the AP classes, for example, and I found one school had 3 AP classes, and another school had 11 AP classes. And probably Academic Magnet probably has like 20, and I don't know, probably has a lot more. Unless it's a population thing, that you don't need to have 20 classes because you have less kids, you still should have as many classes as those kids need to move forward. So I think curriculum-wise is something else they need to be involved in. The policy making, including disciplinary policies, and that's another area that we really need to improve. As I said before, I'm in a committee called the Alternative to Detention.
Right.
Too many of our children know what it looks like inside a jail. And some of the reasons that they're there are not necessary. We need to redo that. I think also the school board needs to be very visible. I'm not saying you need to go to everything that goes on in the county. You could possibly do that. But you need to be, especially in your area, if I'm in North Charleston, enough people need to be able to say, oh yeah, I saw her, or walk up to me and say, hey Linda, or whatever you want to call me, Ms. Lucas, this is what's happening. And can you do something about this? And I'll bring it back to the board, I'll investigate and see what it is. But they need to know that they're being represented. Not only that, they need to know that they're part of it. So I expect, they call it transparency, and I say visibility. So I think the board needs to be visible and transparent, and also be in charge of where the superintendent is going. I heard some negative comments last night. Someone said, and I hate to repeat it because this is people talking. People are talking for various reasons. It's not always truth. Sometimes it's just opinion or feelings. And someone said something to the fact that Dr. Postlewaite was not answering to the board, that she was dictating to the board. I don't know about that. But when I get on the board, I'm sure that that would not be happening because I believe strongly in teamwork. Teamwork. Team. Who was the team? The parents, students, educators, and the board, business and community partners. We are all in this together because they're all our children.
You talk about North Charleston and you talk about population in those particular schools.
Mm-hmm.
If someone were to come to you right now and ask you, what are the top 3 schools in North area, you would say?
The top 3 schools?
Yes, ma'am.
Well, in the country, and I just saw it the other day again, they will come up with academic magnets.
Okay.
And they will mention School of the Arts.
Right.
And I'm still in the high schools, and
Okay.
let's see what the elementary schools would be. Well, it's making some accolades now. They're beginning to look at some of the improvement in test scores and what have you at, Media Street School.
Right.
At Brentwood.
Something like that.
Yeah, but there's some other issues with that. People have other issues in explaining that, but the facts were, when I read that they did move, they were moving, so that's the elementary. Middle school, I'm not sure about where the middle schools are at this point. I know we have a new one that took over Brentwood's place. I haven't looked at any of the statistics on what they're doing. Stall, I guess I'm kind of passionate about Stall. My daughter graduated from there. So I have to say, I think that they are all, if they're not there yet, they're all going to be there. Not only North Charleston, but Charleston at the top.
And when you think of the North area and the Charleston County School District and the issues, what are those 3 big issues right now in your mind?
The gap of performance and academics. It's considered a gap based on racial issues, which could be a part of attitude or opportunity based on attitudes. As I said before, with this kind of curriculum, it's been found that the kids in the impoverished areas, and North Charleston is pretty much an impoverished area, that their curriculum is not always up to par or as enriched. The opportunities are not there, as you would say, even at a school like Academic Magnet, which is North Charleston,
Right.
but they would have been doing what they're doing wherever their school was because of the kind of program they have and their purpose. But I believe that they really need to have a better curriculum. Also, the facilities. I had a lady tell me, a teacher assistant told me about an incident where the plumbing went haywire and they had spillage. And I've seen that in the school where I worked last. And that principal made some decisions to make sure that we didn't have to be exposed to that. And when she told me that in her school, it's North Charleston School, that the kids were not only kept in the class, they were also at the end of the school day walking through this stuff to go home. Now, that wouldn't have happened in West Ashley. That wouldn't have happened in my former school. And that would not have happened in Mount Pleasant. So why is it that you're treated almost as if you don't count because you're in North Charleston? I've also seen in North Charleston most of the schools are Title I schools. And what the state used to do was they would send someone from the state to help pull up the test scores and get those standards up. And as soon as the school began to show progress, the state would snatch those people back. They should not be snatching back services that have helped the North Charleston schools or any other school to grow. Let that service stay there longer. Let it become a part of the ingrained, the experience. And so that school and those staff and students and families begin to recognize what they did to raise those scores and keep on going. And then they can tell that person, you can leave now. Don't just snatch them back after a year. So I see the treatment for them in North Charleston is not always the highest quality as in some other areas.
And obviously, we're all talking about the future here.
Yes.
So when you think of the Charleston County School District, what should their future be?
I think that when we look at that ranking that I said,
Okay.
and you see Massachusetts, Wyoming, New Jersey, Utah, and all those states, and they're called the top states in the ranking of education, I want them to say, even if it's in the 10th, the top 10, but somewhere up there, instead of 48 or near the bottom, that's what the future is. Otherwise, there's no future, because we're already in the bottom.
Linda Mosley Lucas, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate this.
Thank you so much, and I say they're all our children, and we're going to be on the top. Go for it and make it real. It takes everybody. Thank you so much for this opportunity. I
Anytime.
appreciate it.
Oh, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Thank you.